All right, welcome back, folks. You're watching me. I'm Kevin. I'm half of Two Guys Take on Real Estate. And with me today, we've got Michael, who's from One Rental at a Time. Welcome to the channel, Michael.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity. I love talking real estate. I love trying to help folks grow and see what's possible. So this should be fun.
Yeah, we always have a good time on our YouTube channel. You know, we're serious, but not like overly serious when we talk about this stuff. So it's always about learning and enjoying the journey of learning and getting better at this stuff. So we've got probably quite a few things we can chat about today in the world of real estate. But you know, for some of the background for the people that are just jumping in and never having subscribed or seen our channel before. Matt, my business partner from Two Guys, and myself have been doing this stuff for about, 17 years. It feels like 35. And we started with a rundown haunted 2-family house that was a bank-owned property. We got it fixed up. We turned it into a rental. And we've been struggling and bumbling and stumbling our way forward every day since. And Mike, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so my story is kind of the same deal. I started almost 25 years ago, bought a single family rental unit in a market about 3 hours away. You know, because they didn't, you know, I live in a market that never cash flowed, and that was really frustrating. But ultimately got in a car and drove 3 hours away roughly and found a market that did, Fresno, the Central Valley of California. And you learn a lot, right? The first 5 years suck. You're learning, you make mistakes, you create alligators or negative cash flow. You know, people lie to you, people steal from you. But, you know, us together, you know, 20-year average, it does work out, right? Inflation's a feature, not a bug. If you own assets, you get wealthy. It's just how the system works. And the biggest thing that I've learned, it's actually something pretty shocking I read this morning, is that the middle class new retirement age is 75. Not 65, not 67. And I don't know about you, but I think that's disgusting. That's disturbing. The rat race is literally killing people. And it's you know, it's our duty to show them there is a different way. You don't have to work 50 years to exit and then live 3 or 4 in retirement. It's not okay. It's not okay, in my opinion.
Yeah. And don't forget, right, there's going to be folks that's like an average, you know, there's going to be folks that simply don't get to retire, which is that much worse and is absolutely horrific. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's something that definitely should be probably called out in terms of, you know, maybe it's a cultural thing that we should be pushing back on and saying, you know, when is enough and what could we possibly do to fix that, not just for ourselves, but, you know, also for the next generation coming up. You know, we want to give them a better opportunity than maybe we had. And how can we stop something like that from being the case?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that we just honestly have to talk about, right? As I talk to millionaires every week and help people around the country, the first thing you have to understand is you have to be able to create discretionary, AKA disposable income. You have to have money left over, what I call seeds, that you can plant in assets that then grow to be mighty financial trees.
Sure. Yeah.
If you can't have seeds, disposable or discretionary income, what are we doing? Right? It's just that simple. So again, there are only 3 ways to create it. You can increase your income, you can lower your expenses, or you can do both. And again, I recommend most people do both. If you're young, go get a high income skill. For me, when, you know, I'm Generation X, that was a speech class. An introvert into an uncomfortable extrovert, because I realized that was the way, you know, I was going to do things because I was a sales guy. Maybe in today's age, it's artificial intelligence, it's machine learning, it's video editing, whatever it is, go find that skill that pays better. If you're my age, when I finally figured this out, you have a lot of monthly expenses that are wants, not needs. And you know what? You got to get uncomfortable and start cutting out some of those wants so that you can have disposable income and you could do bigger and better things. Folks, step 1 of getting wealthy is creating discretionary or disposable income. It is that simple. It does take sacrifice. It does take effort, but damn it, it's worth it.
I don't know, man. I think we got to get ahead of the people in the comments section that's about to jump in saying, oh, I guess we just have to cut out the avocado toast and not take so many trips to Starbucks, and then we can all just retire at 50, right? These are, well, first of all, yes, absolutely. I legitimately had a good-natured, poking fun argument on one of my live streams the other day when we were talking about this exact type of thing, right? Lowering your expenses, not using luxuries and wants and stuff like that, and prioritizing your necessities beyond everything else. And we were talking about properties that end up in foreclosure auction, it's sometimes in my experience, I've seen a lot of vehicles that came from these properties. You found a history of what might have went wrong. You can put some pieces together, and somebody was actually trying to argue that fast food and going and eating out and going to fast food and stuff like this was not a luxury and was not a want. It was a need, because you need to have food to survive. And I mean, I get that, but that argument falls apart when you're literally paying people to, hunt and gather, so to speak, for you, prepare your food for you, serve it to you, and in a lot of cases clean up after you. You're paying for these absolute luxuries. And then he went and furthered his argument by saying, well, we can't even, McDonald's isn't even that nutritious for you. I was like, that makes it even worse.
Yeah, doubly worse.
Like, how are you standing on that argument? You're telling me basically now you're spending money on junk food, money you can't afford. If you can't afford to pay your electric bill or your mortgage or whatever, or make an investment so that you can break out of a cycle that you've been stuck in, which should be treated very much like a priority. If you don't want to have to retire, wait to 70 to be retired, then you need to prioritize finding money to, like you said, plant into something that will grow over the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah. Again, I've been lucky enough to speak with, hundreds of millionaires that did it. And everyone talks about the first 5 years, and it all starts with sacrifice. I'm not here to tell you, you have to stop McDonald's and Starbucks. Frankly, I don't care. I don't care if you make that choice. If you want to live in the rat race, that is your God-given right. But
you have to know, but it has to be a conscious choice to you.
Yes.
You have to know, yes. Look, I'm gonna walk right by my Keurig and go pay somebody $7 plus a tip and all that for using their Keurig instead, and I'm okay with that but I know what I'm doing, and I know that means I got to work for for a length of time. I know that means at Christmas time things are going to be a little bit tougher, or I know what that means that I'm not going to be able to make that investment purchase, down the road.
Well, let's talk about a real big topic, because again, we could talk about the $7 latte and the $20 McDonald's and all of that.
It's the paper cuts, though. It is the paper cuts.
Oh, it's death by 1,000 cuts. But if you really want to step back and be a big boy and girl, the biggest way to kind of a cheat code early in this game is going after your biggest expense. Now, for most of us, our biggest expense is taxes. So I'm not talking taxes. I'm talking rent or mortgage.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. If you want to keep doing your Starbucks because it's your special treat and you deserve it, whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you really want to if you want to turbocharge this game, I want you to turn your living expense to zero. No rent, no mortgage. How the hell is that possible? Well, you could live with mom and dad. Should mom and dad want to give you that flexibility? Most of us don't have that option. What you have today is house hacking. The turbocharge of house hacking is something that I missed. Again, as I said earlier, my journey to wealth creation didn't start till I was 30. If I had started at 20 and house hacked a fourplex in the Silicon Valley in 1992,
different life.
Different. Yeah. And oh, by the way, house hacking once is a turbo. Yeah. If you want to house hack 2 or 3 times at 20, at 22, at 24, game over, retired by 30, done.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of things, right? I'll look back at my life and I'll kick myself in the butt for, but not having house hacked is probably, the one I forget about the most, but it's probably the biggest one, to be honest. And I had the same, we might've chatted about this last time you and I talked, but I had graduated college and I was still living in a college town, right? I got a job and I'm living with roommates. I'm living in a 3-family house in a rental apartment in a 3-family house, and I have 2 roommates. Yeah, I moved a couple times, but same scenario roughly. And I'm thinking, I thought myself at one point, I said, I should just buy a house like this, and I could rent out each apartment, and I could still have those two roommates living in my apartment with me.
Yeah.
That's the lifestyle I'm happy with and comfortable with anyway. I would be crushing it. I said to myself, and I was probably 22,
Yeah.
but I'm not, maybe that's way too responsible for me. Maybe when I'm older, that's something like an adult would do. I'm still basically a kid, and I had all these just, misconceptions and insecurities about doing this. And I definitely agree. My thing that I found with a lot of our followers, a lot of our viewers that are just right here probably watching, they don't think that it's realistic for them. Well, that's great for you. You can do that, but I can't do that. I don't know the first thing about fixing a roof. What if there's a leak? I don't know how to do. There's people for everything. There's answers to almost every objection you're going to have of why you can't do it. There's an answer. And I wish I could go back and give myself those answers.
Well, I'll give you even one more example. One of the millionaires I speak to each week goes by the name Anna Aria Mom Kelly. She retired about 5 years ago from AIG. But her story of financial freedom starts living in Section 8 housing, living in battered women's shelters, right? She had multiple generations of poverty. So she really had that poverty upbringing. Long story short, she goes off to college. She gets married, has a couple of kids, and she buys the big house in Texas. She realizes at that point that she has joined what I call the rat race.
Yeah.
And that she's got the big payment and she's got all these things. And she realizes that that's not the way to go. So what does Anna decide to do? She decides to go backwards. She sells the big house, moves in with her in-laws with 2 kids for almost a year. Then she buys a 4-plex in Pennsylvania where it snows and decides to live upstairs with 2 kids.
Yep.
Folks, house hacking, like we talk about, often is thought, hey, it's for 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds with no kids and no family. Anna had 2 kids, was married, and she will tell you to this day that is her best financial decision she has ever made. Selling the big house, Robert Kiyosaki would call the liability.
Yeah.
Sucking it up and living with family for a little bit, and then finding a 4-plex that she could live in for free because the other 3 tenants paid the mortgage. Sometimes you got to go backwards to go forwards. It's uncomfortable.
I love that example. And I'll tell you, just like with the Starbucks people, and again, we're picking on Starbucks. Again, I could care less, whatever, right? But my thing is, it's more of a lifestyle, and chances are, if that's your thing, right, that's what you do at 8 a.m., but then you're doing something else that's silly with your money at noon, like buying lunch at work, or 5 other things by the time you get home that you've made some paper cuts with. But in the situation that you're just describing, I think so many people are going to be inclined when they lower their expenses, they move with mom and dad or whatever it is, they're not going to have the discipline. They just don't often have that discipline to hang on to that money, put it for a down payment and use it for something. What are they going to do? They're going to slip into a large paper cut and they're going to get a car payment. They're going to say, wow, I can afford, you know what? Saving so much money right now. I have, and they're going to go out and I need a car. You need a car. You got to get places, and they'll justify it to themselves. They want something nicer, that reliable. I've always had a crappy car. Now is my opportunity. I deserve this, whatever. And they'll fall into the trap of it in some other which way. So making the right steps is great, but having the discipline to see those steps through is going to be super important when it happens.
Dude, I keep telling people, this is a 10-year game we're playing. If you're going to sign up for the game, don't quit at year 3. Don't quit at year 5. You just go backwards, and you can't make that up. You got to start over.
Yeah,
it's a 10-year journey, and you're going to be alive in 10 years anyway. You might as well be in a much better financial situation. A lot of things that I talk about is the first 5 years suck. It's getting wealthy is so remarkably simple. But it takes discipline and sacrifice, which are words that the American consumers doesn't like.
Absolutely.
It's not sexy.
Absolutely.
And that's why I keep talking about, hey, I'm going to keep putting this message out there. I can't help everybody. It's, if you tell me you're happy working 40, 50 hours a week, living for the weekends, awesome.
Right.
Congrats, because you've got 4 decades of that coming. But most of us aren't that person. So
I agree. And just on discipline, I'll tell you, everybody has to, fight it. And it's shoved in our face constantly, this temptation to spend. It's the, and it's even worse. And again, I don't want to sound like a boomer talking about all social media, right? Because we're on social media, but you go on Instagram, you see people's posts, vacations, cars, luxuries, all this niceties that you want for yourself. You see other people having them and you think, oh man, I'm not doing as good as I should have. I should be doing this. It's normal. It's okay. I left my house this morning. I walk out my front door, right across the street. Neighbor has awesome Halloween decorations up everywhere. And I'm like, that is so cool. I need to do this. Oh my God. And then, you go to Home Depot and you see how much that crap costs. I'm like, there's no way I need to fix up stuff on my house. I need to paint my house. I need a new front door, or I need all these cool Halloween decorations that I can have weathered on my lawn for 6 weeks and then throw into a crawl space, like,
Exactly.
but it's like the discipline to shut my door with the duct tape on it and go to my car and go to the office, because I know that I need to make actual improvements and real concrete things and not the cool stuff that everybody else gets to play with,
Yeah. One of the words that you said earlier that is a pet peeve of mine. Let's say you go out there, you make some sacrifices, you start seeing the rewards. You have your discretionary income goes from $300 to $3,000.
Right.
When you say the following, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I deserve it.
I deserve it. Yeah.
No, you don't. You
Yep.
ain't done nothing yet. You're 5 years into a 10-year journey. If you go in and go, I deserve the new Mercedes or the Beamer or the Porsche or whatever your car of choice is, you're going backwards. I want you to think about this as a financial mountain, and it takes 10 years to climb. If you're up the mountain 5 years, yes, you are in a better financial position. Congrats. But if you decide to put a big, giant boulder in your backpack, like a car payment, you're going backwards. Don't do that. 10 years, baby, 10 years. Then you could do whatever the heck you want. You could take a $50,000 vacation. You could buy a 6-figure car. Who cares? But get there first.
I'm going to jump ahead to the people that are going to be in our comment section, and they're going to say, great, I get to enjoy being rich and having all this money, but I'm too old to enjoy it. Or you can't take it with you. So those are going to be the people that are going to be saying this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with not taking everything with me. That's neat. I have a lot of family and a lot of awesome people that would love to be have a way to remember me by me setting themselves up with a springboard to their first house hack or something. So that's never been the American dream as far as I've ever known it, was to just get rich and then blow it all on yourself. It's always been to improve your life and in the life of the people that you leave behind. So first of all, you're not necessarily just doing this for yourself. A lot of people out there, generational wealth, handing something down, developing a legacy is a really, really important thing for a lot of people. And, my father, probably not going to be leaving me anything, and I'm sure he wishes he would be able to, but fortunately, he didn't need to. But I'm sure if he could rewind the tape, that's going to be one of his things that he's going to look back and say, man, I wish I could have left stuff for my kids, and that's what I think a lot of people are going to miss when we talk about like putting this stuff off, build something. They're going to say, listen, I'm going to be too old to enjoy it, or I can't take it with you.
Well, there's some truth in that. One of the things you get to do when you're 50 and you're financially free is you get to take some amazing vacations. I went on a 6-star vacation, 3 weeks in Europe, I don't know, last summer. And when you're on a boat with 100 people and the average net worth is 10 million bucks, you get to talk to everybody. And the average age on that boat was, I think it was 79, 81, somewhere like that. We were clearly the youngest people on actually there was one newlywed couple. There had to be in their 20s. And then it was us, Olivia and I. But we got to talking to people, and to the person, they couldn't enjoy it anymore, right? They were 80 years old. They'd accumulate more wealth than most of us could imagine. And they're going down this river cruise in Germany or wherever the hell we were. And they almost couldn't get off the boat. And if they could get off the boat, they only could do about a half hour. And I'm like, man, this sucks. So again, you could choose to work till you're 65. That's okay. You can choose to work to 75, like the new middle class. But if the average age, the median age now is 83 or life expectancy, it's not much of a life. And that's for the people that have money. Can you imagine not having any money and being 80 years old? Oh my goodness.
Yep. I agree.
So the future's coming for all of us. You could choose to blow it now and pay later. I will tell you that regret is a very, very big thing. A lot of these folks regretted working that extra decade. They can't enjoy it. They acknowledge it. They admit it was a mistake. But yeah, it's pretty wild here. An 80-year-old that's worth $25 million tell you they regret working the last 10 years. It's pretty wild.
But I mean, ultimately, you're given the choice, whether you know it or not. And I think a lot of folks need to be aware that every day they're actively making a choice. If they're not super happy with their situation, they're probably actively staying engaged and making choices that keep them engaged in that direction that they're in. And if they want to make a change, they know that they have the ability to. Maybe some people don't understand how it could be, and they need to learn and learn and learn more, listening to folks like what we're talking about right now. But ultimately, people need to know that they're making a choice. And some people, be okay with the choice that you're making. Like, listen, I want to work a 9 to 5. I want to do the office job. I want to have this routine,
Great.
whatever. Then, dude, more power to you. We absolutely need people to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want out of life and that's what you want, that's fine. Nobody's criticizing that. I would never criticize somebody's choice. What I would criticize is somebody being aware of the choice and then blaming somebody else for the choice that they've made for themselves. So I would say, don't go putting it on, me or you or society or somebody else when you actively went down this path and, are unhappy with it now all of a sudden.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts there. One of the most impactful books I've ever read was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. And we have enough of blaming others. Until you have extreme ownership, you have no power, right? When you blame everybody else, you're giving away your power. You can't fix anything. But if you take extreme ownership of your life, your choices, your situation, there's a lot of power in that. And you can make decisions and improve it. None of us have a time machine, at least yet. So you can't go backwards and undo decisions, but you can start today, right now, with new decisions. I strongly suggest extreme ownership. People need to think that. And then the second thing is, the path to getting wealthy has been the same for hundreds of years. Discretionary income, become elite at something, and then do it for a decade. I don't care if that's stocks or small business or crypto or art or classic cars or whatever your thing is. Go become elite. In today's world, it is so easy to be elite. I think it was Tom Bilyeu that put out a stat that says if you do something 18 minutes a day for 100 days, you are likely in the top 5% of whatever that is.
Wow.
18 minutes a day for 100 days. That is ridiculous.
That's less than the time it takes to watch a sitcom rerun.
Yeah. Yeah. With no commercials on Netflix.
Yep.
It's wild. Wow. Wild. Yeah. It's crazy. But let's talk. So we talked about house hacking for the younger generation, but the other thing, you're our age is now getting started. What you have to do is you have to get into the real estate market and understand value, right? Value, buying a junker, buying a 1,000 square foot 2-bedroom and creating a 3-bedroom, buying a house with the unfinished basement. There's just so many ways to create value. If you're going to do it, starting at 30, 40, 50, understand your buy box, your market, understand how to create value, understand how to solve problems. I think one of the things coming in 2025 and 2026 is commercial properties who have bridge debt blowing up left, right, and center. I hope to 1031 into some busted syndications in the next couple of years. There's always opportunity to find value.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, we get criticized a little bit when we talk about going to foreclosure auctions and buying. Well, we bought some commercial, we buy mostly residential, and we've gone to thousands of auctions. We literally wrote the book on foreclosure auctions. And the amount of times people tell me, well, it must be really nice to have $100,000 to go buy a house, or yeah, sure, you can buy a house. Of course, it's a little bit less expensive, but then it's a dump, and you got to fix it up, et cetera, et cetera. I said, that's the awesome thing about it. I don't want to buy something that's turnkey, ready, I want something where I can add value. Value adds are where you actually make money, because you're putting in $1 and you're getting $2 for it. I mean, that's kind of the idea. So that's opportunity. And it's to me, it's awesome when I hear that, because that's somebody, first of all, it's somebody that's paying attention, watching and learning, and hopefully asking a question and then sticking around and letting the answers, sink in. But that's an opportunity right there. The amount of people that I talk to that drive down a street in their neighborhood and they see this rundown, sketchy looking house that's been boarded up and a blight, and they say, man, what a dump. Somebody should do something about that place. Like, that's you.
Yeah.
That is a bag with a dollar sign on it right on the side of the road that you just saw. You didn't see a blighted property. You should be training your brain to real estate to think about the opportunity you just saw.
Yeah, one of the things that I learned, because again, I've been doing this 25 years during the Great Recession, is a lot of the houses we bought had, let's just call it unusual smells. And a lot of people walk into them and that's cat smell, that's this smell, that's that smell. And I'm like, no, folks, that's the smell of money. That's the smell of money.
Yeah, but man, wait till they get smell-o-vision on live streams.
No,
our viewers are gonna love it next time they tell me to open the fridge in one of these properties. Let me just tell you.
Just throw them away. Just throw them away.
You never open the fridge. It's a rookie mistake, people. But they'll always try to get me to do it.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, again, real estate investing is amazing because there's so many ways to do it. There's always so many ways. There are different seasons, and this, that, or that strategy works better than this or that one, depending on the season. But folks, if you want to get wealthy, real estate investing, learning it, not gambling, not, doing anything silly like that, but investing time to learn it is the way. And again, you could do this just as an owner occupant. House hack, 203K loan. One of the greatest loopholes in the tax code. This is for folks who live in a high price neighborhood. Did you know you could move into a home, live there for 2 years, maybe do some fix up because you bought the worst house on the best block. Then you could sell it. If you're single, make 250K. If you're married, make 500K tax free. One of the things that I remember, Olivia and I like to go to cruises for our vacations. We met a couple probably 8 years ago that lived on the outskirts of Beverly Hills. And all they did for the last decade, and probably still do, is they bought the ugliest house.
Yeah.
They moved in for 2 years. They spent 2 years remodeling it. Yes, they always lived in dust and this, that, the other.
Right.
But at the end of 2 years, they sold it. And they got up to $500,000 tax free.
And so again, awesome, by the way, that like a mind-blowing idea. And the thing is, detractors of something like that are going to use the dust argument right there. They don't want to live in a place that needs fixing up, that needs this, that needs that. They want to move into something. They want the instant gratification. But dude, think about it this way. That's like your job.
Exactly.
Your marriage in this case is kind of like your partnership going into this. And your work is hanging out at your house with your wife and going to Home Depots. You're like Frank the Tank from old school, got a nice little Saturday plan going to Home Depot and Bed Bath & Beyond, and you're fixing up, you're doing remodeling projects. If you're smart, you're making some social media and a YouTube channel about, look what I did in my bathroom and all this other crap, right? And you're making this other, you're making a little side hustle on your main hustle, which isn't even a hustle. It's just living and fixing up a home with your wife. Like, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff.
I mean, how many people couldn't live on $300,000 or $400,000 a year? Oh, by the way, tax free, no IRS, no IRS. And again, this used to be a one and done. It's now as often as you want.
That's
folks.
Amazing. Yeah.
Real estate investing is powerful because if you just learn the rules of the game, there are so many ways that you can benefit it. And you don't have to be a landlord with 10 or 20 or 100 units. You could just be an owner occupant. House hack, 203K loans, use the tax code, live in it for 2 years, move on. It's not that hard. You just make some choices, make some sacrifices.
Not that hard. Fun. Do you really want to go to whatever office or retail job that you effing hate, with customers that disrespect you, with a coworker that annoys you, with a boss that passes you over for promotions, when you could create your own opportunity, your own business, essentially your own employment? And maybe the only boss is You know,
Yeah,
we don't
yeah,
want
that one, that one.
you know, but maybe that might be a problem. It's a whole different problem, I'm sure. But no, I mean, what an amazing opportunity people have that they just don't know about, or they're going to be so quick to try to punch holes in because they're so trained to think that they have to go work in a factory.
Yeah, let me just give you this example. So I have two friends. We call ourselves the three amigos, Dion and Matt. And how I break down the people watching this, I believe the people watching this fall into one of three categories. And I'm going to use a sporting analogy because that's I know sports. So if you go to a sporting event like a football game or a basketball game or baseball game, there are people in the parking lot partying, tailgating, getting drunk. Lots of those people don't even have tickets.
That's true.
Right? They're not getting in. They're just there for the party. I'm not in the convincing business. If you're not getting into the arena, I don't care. If you want to poke holes and be a naysayer and negative, not my problem. Next one. You're in the stadium. You're in the stands, nosebleeds, 50-yard line, whatever it is.
Yep.
Those are my people because now you're committed, right? You're like, how do I do this? Like, how do I find a buy box? How do I create discretionary income? Those are the people that I care about. And then there are people on the field playing the game, right? Doing flips, buying foreclosure auctions. Again, that's not like I do one thing. I buy off the MLS and I'm a long-term guy. There are so many other ways. You guys wrote the book on buying foreclosures. Not my thing. Go talk to you guys. So again, I break people down. And the most important thing is I ignore all the people that are drunk in the parking lot. You can throw stones. I'll just block your ass. It doesn't bother me at all. If you want to be a naysayer and be broke your whole life, more power to you. I care about the people in the stands that want to make a difference.
Well, I almost 100% agree. I'll say I 99% agree. I still want to take that 1% shot at least letting the people in the parking lot know that there's this whole other thing that they're missing out on. If they want to stay out there, because listen, I've been to tailgates and that's a lot of fun. You know, it smells nice. The food's delicious. A lot of people are really friendly, right? You're having a good time.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with that and that's what you want and everything like that, again, who am I to say no? But at least let you guys know that there's a game you could be watching inside if you wanted to come in, you know. But if you want to stay out here, I totally get it. You know, maybe I'll catch you on the way out. You can make me a burger. I don't know, right? But yeah, I at least want to take my 1% shot at letting
more power to you. Frankly, the world needs more of you. I'm just so tired of all the crap thrown my way by drunk idiots and fools in the parking lot that I just ignore them. So, but yeah, more power to you.
No, fair enough. And the thing is, you're gonna get hit by a stray ball. You know, you're gonna you're gonna get harassed. You're gonna get annoyed eventually, and maybe eventually I'll tire of it. But that's what comes with it. You know, some people have just simply a higher tolerance, and very understandable. Though I completely get you, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I think the game is pretty simple. I think what I'm trying to do is let people know it's possible. One of the reasons I spend so much time curating a list of millionaires who come from different backgrounds and different stories is because you never know what story resonates. Teenage mom, divorced, responsible for kids, high school dropout. You know, just there's so many things, so many ways to do this. I always want people to just hear a story. And
hear the story, but know that other people can do it. You can do it too. Your path is going to be different. Maybe it's going to be harder in one way than somebody else's was. But there's absolutely, it's not just that there's hope. It is a reality. It's not this like pie in the sky thing. It's not going to get handed to you. It might not necessarily be super easy for you. But I'm telling you, man, if a couple of dudes like me and Matt, you know, can do this and we didn't know what we were doing, we just fumbled our way forward. I'm confident that there's just people out there that are better in many different ways than he and I are, and they could definitely do it too.
That's the whole thing. Sometimes you just got to show people it's possible, get them inquisitive. I like to share stories where people end up saying, wow, they were in a worse position than me and they made it happen.
Right.
Because again, I'm trying to take away excuses. I'm trying to get inspiration. I want to take people that are hopeful and show them out there. And sometimes it's just a smack across the face. Do you want to work till 75 before you can retire? That makes me physically ill to think that the middle class today has to work to 75 because we're living longer and our money won't last. That's frightening to me. We've got to tell people there's a better way.
I agree, and it's you know what might not even be the whole picture, right? middle class, 30 years from now may not exactly be what the middle class is today.
That is
And,
frightening to think about.
yeah. So, I mean, I really think listen, okay, I mean, 20 more years of living like this, it's not that bad. I mean, I have a nice house in a safe area and, blah, blah, blah. And that might sound great. A lot of things can change. And, a lot of things can literally change, and they can change awfully quickly. So, don't necessarily equate middle class to being the same standard of living that you're having right now, folks.
That's a fair point. I mean, if you've seen anything with inflation, right? Inflation's a feature, not a bug. You could afford your lifestyle 5 years ago. You can't now. I've seen some scary stats since Biden's been in office, like 30% this and 12% that. And it's frightening to think about that. Just the grocery basket went from being this full to this full to this full. It's tough.
The inflation crisis has been hard on people, but the thing is, it's back in that category of needs again. Housing, a way to house yourself, whether it's renting or a mortgage, with mortgage rates tripling, quadrupling, house prices still ever increasing. Housing yourself, feeding yourself, clothing yourself, all those types of things, the essentials. Not avocado toast, people, not Starbucks, not all this other crap, right? But the essentials have all massively gone up, and it hasn't gone up just the 9 or 10 or 11%, like you said. It went up massively. Those things changed so fast for people. So
yeah, and again, I'm a student of history. I have an econ degree, and we're on the cusp of recording this just before the Fed cuts rates. Will they be 25? Will they be 50? Who knows?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, this starts a rate cutting cycle, so it's not one and done. I'm concerned we might repeat 1981, where we have a second bout of inflation. And wouldn't that be frightening? Woo!
Just like you can't, it couldn't get any worse, right? And then here we are, maybe saying, wow, could it possibly actually get that much more dire? So again, you maybe can't necessarily, as an individual, control those type of factors, but you can control other factors, like, again, shifting your focus from working in that 9 to 5, hopefully going from making 60 grand a year to 65 grand a year, to shifting out of that and cycling yourself out into renovating that home. Move into a fixer-upper with a significant other, and work on it while you're still doing that office work, while you're still working in that factory job or serving coffee or whatever the hell you're doing. Grind yourself out of it. It would be nice if we didn't have to. It'd be nice if everything just fell in our laps. That's never, ever been how nature or the world works. Food and shelter just don't come falling from the trees. You have to, and you are responsible for making your path forward. So, figure out what path you want to take, and then make the right decisions to keep you on it and keep you moving forward.
Well said. I like it.
Well, I love it. I appreciate you being here. We should probably wrap it up. We've been on for a little bit. Thanks again so much for being part of the channel, being part of the show. You want to plug your website or anything like that?
Yeah. One thing I've done right, everything I do is one rental at a time. YouTube channel, website, book. You'll be able to find me one rental at a time.
Well, and find you they should. I really hope so. Remember, learning before you leap is super important, but leaping at some point is important too. So there's a lot of awesome resources. We like to be one of them, but he should be one for you too. So make sure you're checking his channel out. Again, thanks for tuning in. My name's Kevin. I've been here from Two Guys Take on Real Estate, and we really appreciate anybody hanging out. And you can go ahead and just jump into those comments right now. I know you're already there. Jump into the comments and let us know all the stuff we got wrong. Can't wait. We'll see you there.